So in this dark and dismal corner of Mr. Chippie's workshop, we are just having to use the camcorder today in the hope that you can actually see these awful Duette hand portables. They were also sold as the Domico 1+1. These also say 1+1 on them. So the Domico and Duette 1+1. And they're a bit like 14 and 32 channel switchable squelch. They're a bit like the Harvard 020, the Harrier HCB1, the Alva smaller one, and the Binatone Ranger 2. But they're not. They're awful. And I just hope these aren't one of these. I don't know how many we've got. The computer only shows one. But I remember buying one off eBay, and when it arrived, it was a ham radio conversion to 10 meters. Why? Why pick the worst radio and try and do some conversion? What a stupid thing to do. Anyway, perhaps that was the task. Let's see what's in the box. Now, when we did good range tests, instead of the current ones we're doing, which are worst possible scenario range tests, we got, this one with Mark's checked it and says it doesn't work. So let's look at the other one. What did we get? I'll dig out the original file, but I think it was 50 yards or something like that. Yeah. Neither of them work. What a surprise. If I even spent 10 minutes on these, then that's 10 minutes of wasted time. I can't do any zooming or anything. We're on a camcorder, and but you can probably see those contacts are perfect. Probably because they've never been used, because they've never worked. Made in Hong Kong. Right, well, if this was live, I'd say, which one shall I do? The one on the left or the one on the right? I'm going to pause this camera, if I can find the pause button. Not surprisingly, the file is exactly where I expected it to be. These were $24.95 each, just like the other ones. And this is the file for the Domico version, which of course is exactly the same apart from the name. 43% score. Yeah, right. 100 milliwatts it says here. And allegedly a sensitivity of 1 microvolts for 10 decibel cyanide. We've got the instruction book here. Reassuringly tells you some CB lingo. Let's see what the specification says. Well, nothing. Oh, have we got anything technical? Yeah. Less than 100 milliwatts. CB slang. What do I need to remember? Oh yeah, flip-flop. When Mr. Chippie goes shopping, I'll catch him on the flip-flop, won't I? Yeah. Well, I thought there was a circuit diagram. Right, I'm going to put that on my scanner. We'll pause this video and I'll see if I can do something with it. Right, well, we're finally into the horrible thing. a mess of wiring on the back, and that's what you get inside. Yeah, they're as awful as I remember. So I think the thing to do is to try and get channel 30 to work. So we'll connect it up to 6 volts on the power supply. There are 4 AA batteries on these, they're not a PP3 9-volt battery. I think, to be honest, I'll be best off soldering some thin wires onto this rather than using the crocodile clip leads, because it's at least 18 inches to the power supply from here. So we'll find some wire. Okay, so we've got that connected. Everybody knows positive is white and grey is negative. So switch it on. Switch the squelch off. It is off. Okay, I think we'd better put a signal near it, or shall we see if we can transmit? I'll put the signal generator on, I think. Let's just see whether we can move the camera onto that signal generator at all. I don't think we can. We'll probably drop the angle. So put in frequency 27.89125 megs, and we will give that, so we're on FM, and we'll give that some so it's 100 microvolts right now, so we just need to go up from there. He's actually receiving it. I'll just wow. Is actually receiving. Right, we'll get the Marconi AF power meter onto this. That's the one that also just happens to do cyanide. We're going to have 2 clips on this one. Okay, so we're connected up to that AF power meter 893C, the Marconi one. So something I can do is to set the detector, especially if I can find some trim tools. And I would expect the detector. Trouble is, I can't show you lots of things at once by not being in the normal room. Right, we'll see whether they... Yes, it is. Let's go down a range. There we go, that is detector for optimum. Right, we'll drop down the attenuator. And go into Synad. Okay, we're now in Synad mode for what it's worth. Well, I think with the interference the thing picks up, that's probably about where we are with it. So what I've been doing, if I can move the camera down and around, is going through these receive points. So now we're going to go through the transmit ones, which are those. So one of the reasons we're on this bench is we've got this Marconi TF2603 RF voltmeter, and we've only got the Russian one on the other bench. And I didn't think this would be enough power to make the Marconi test setting there actually trigger properly. It needs to be more than 50 milliwatts, and if this isn't doing, if this says the best it can do is 100 milliwatts, I think I needed something much more sensitive. So we're going to maximize this on this meter. I need to go up a scale. Need to go up another scale. Okay, so I've no idea what frequency we're doing at the moment. We'll go back to the bench. That coil doesn't have a core, that doesn't mean that it should do. I think we've got enough power to go on to the other test set. It's now full scale deflection on that. So we'll go over to the normal workbench, but we'll have to carry on with the camcorder now we've started. But at least we've got some kind of receive. Though what the figures are, I really can't tell you, because like all these toy handhelds, we haven't got any sockets to connect to, so it's a matter of running crocodile clip leads to the antenna. So unless he started unsoldering the loading coil, and it's alright, so I've got a circuit diagram here, but it doesn't relate to much on the actual radio because we don't have a layout, so it doesn't make things easy. So we'll go with the other workbench and see what we can see. Well, I've got my Sierra Hotel 1 Tango Sunday mug there, so you can't really see the instruments because it was either on the instrument like I've done in the other one, or it was on the radio. So, well, we have got enough power for this to trigger. The Marconi test set will trigger from 50 milliwatts, and this radio is doing at the moment 55 milliwatts. So at the moment we have 50. It's not quite on frequency. The trimmer here, the coil here, which is between those two receiver coils, sets the frequency. But because you have to take an average between channel 1 and channel 14, channel 30 and channel 14 in this case. We're not even bothering to go into channel 14 because this demonstration is going to be tuned solely for channel 30. So I've set the frequency as good as I can, and what it's given me is 27.89144. It should be 89125. It's very, very slightly high. Now, when this was made 38 years ago, yeah, I bet it was a bit higher than this. So it's dropped with age, and it's dropped right into our lap where we want it. So it's on frequency. So I've got 55 milliwatts. I'm just going to go through here on this test set, having maximised it previously, as you saw. So nothing more there. Nothing to be gained there. Nothing to be gained there. That one doesn't have a core, and it probably isn't supposed to have, otherwise it would have been rattling around inside. So, actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll pause the camera and I'll just look at the photograph we've got in our little book, because if the photograph shows us a core there, that would be an interesting situation. So what I've tried to do now is to get both the Marconi frequency counter and the meter in on the one shot while I take a swig of tea. So you can see we've got 27.89142, and if I point out to you that that is 100 milliwatts, so just that little, that's 25 milliwatts, which it has difficulty registering. 50 milliwatts, so we're about 54, 55 milliwatts, and I have checked and there is no core in the other set, so it means that it's not part of it. Now we can never tune these up, as I said, without taking out loading coils and things. So I'm saying it's 55 milliwatts. It may well be doing 100 milliwatts. It's so difficult to tell without a lot of dismantling, and it just isn't worth doing that dismantling. So it's going to work at the peak it possibly can work at. So that brings us to deviation, which is another interesting thought because there are no adjustments whatsoever in it. So I'm going to kind of lift this up towards me, press transmit, and the speaker is the microphone. So although it looks like there's a microphone down there, that is a fake aperture. I'm just checking that I'm not lying. No, it is a fake aperture. So you're actually talking into the speaker on this one, like a lot of these toy type ones. I better just put the oscilloscope on so I can see that. Let's see what that deviation is. We're switching over to deviation now. Wallow, wallow, wallow. And it's 0.9, so it's pretty quiet, but it is deviating. And there is no adjustment for that. So that's kind of factory preset with a resistor somewhere. So it's a shame. I will just check that the instrument is tuned properly. Wallow. Try it again. Wallow. Let's go on the lower scale, 0.5. So full scale deflection would be 0.5. Wallow. And so it's over that. Wallow. Wallow. I've managed 1. Wallow. 1, 2. Wallow. No, it's about 0.9 as an absolute maximum. So that's going to be a bit at the back of the box. But it shouldn't affect the range on what we do. Just imagine if you got a pair of these and they were $24.95 each, when you could have had the Harrier ones for the same money or the Amstrad ones for the same money, which do such a better job. I mean, those Harriers and Albas and all that, they do about 0.6 to 0.9 of a mile, you know, between that and a base station. I'm not talking between a pair. And those Amstrad ones can do up to 2 miles. That means a high volt 10 volt convoy as well comes into that category. But this, you know, we've just had nothing like that with 100 yards maximum. But you don't know, I've never tuned one up before. When we did our previous videos, we didn't do videos. When we did our previous tests in 1983, we bought a sample. And it performed abysmally, so I bought another sample and it also performed abysmally. So that's how we took the results, but we didn't actually tune them up. This time round we're tuning them up so they're absolutely maximised. So I'll now go over to receive on this test set and I'll see if I can give you a reading as to what it's doing for Synad and all that. So once again we're on 27.89125, and I'll have to get some crocodile clips onto the meter. Well, I think that's about as good as we're going to get. So we can hear, we can just hear 0.9 of a microvolt, which I think is pretty incredible. Which it does say, it says 1 microvolt, doesn't it, for 10 decibel cyanide. Well, let's see. Except I've just knocked the frequency generator. So for 10 decibels, it is actually doing 2.5 microvolts for 10 decibel cyanide. So I expected it was going to be lying, but once again, am I getting the equipment onto the input properly when it's got the telescopic still in circuit? I can affect that by touching it, which is far from ideal. But that's usable. It does have squelch, it's preset, and it comes in when? It comes in at 10 microvolts. So there we go. That is set up for absolutely optimum. So we're doing 55 milliwatts on transmit, rubbish deviation at 0.9, but it's receiving at about 1.2 microvolts for a useful bit of receive. But before you think, well, 100 milliwatts isn't going to do anything, so 55 milliwatts isn't going to do anything. Bear in mind that realistic 1003 we have, the white one, and the realistic 1005, which is the same but in a black case. That's this radio, if I'm holding it in the right direction. These are 50 milliwatts, and I've had 3 miles on one of those. So I'm going to put this back together, and then I'll just show it to the camera to show that I've put it back together. And then somehow you have to put 4 double A's in these, and they are such a fiddle. Well, that's managed to get the PCB back in. Now can we put the push to talk bar in? That's another question. Perhaps by pushing in the push to talk switch. Yep. Now here comes the fun, it's putting these batteries in. And a little card that tells you how they go is long missing, but it looks like 2 face one way by the way the clips are, and the 2 face the other way. Not how you'd normally expect. Anyway, that's the way it works. So that's tripled the value of the set by putting some batteries in it. I didn't say the battery door would go on, did I? So another bit of a swizz, isn't it? Because it really does look like there's a microphone there. I mean, even now it looks like there is a grill cloth, but there isn't. So you're talking to the top, and you're shouting to the top. Well, I'll tell you what I could do. We could just put our roof aerial, we could just touch it onto the top of the... Well, not surprisingly, there's nobody out there. We're going to do a field test with this. So, bit of a funny video because I couldn't use the normal test set initially, and once I've started on the camcorder I can't edit it in with the big system because it uses a different format. So there we are. The Duette 1+1, the same as the Domico 1+1, and do you know what? I think there's a Cheiza 1+1 as well. So Wednesday it's going to be Walkie Talkie Wednesday, and I've been asked if I'll do the Sertel 6-channel 4-watt handheld, which is a huge metal chunky thing which makes the Binatone Long Ranger 40 look small, manufactured by Great, and if I remember rightly they work quite well and have a signal meter, 6 crystal controlled channels, and I think the Sertel one was the only one where all 6 channels were populated with crystals. All the other ones you just got 1 crystal and you bought the optional ones at great expense. So thank you for watching.